Welcome to CramerSez. CramerSez. Be part of the show at CramerSez.com. Interact on Twitter at CramerSez. Now, CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. It is, what is it? What is today? Today is Hump Day. It's Wednesday, folks. Welcome to the show. It's live, and the phone lines are open right now at 877-619-3899. And tonight's guest, we've got a very special guest. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let me start out by saying, first of all, this is CramerSez Live. We are sponsored by Tusk. Tusk is, they're the free speech browser. They're built by conservatives for conservatives. If you want more information, you can find it at tuskbrowser.com. Now, some questions have been, well, is Tusk the one that doesn't have their own search engine? You're right, it doesn't. But they're building one right now, and you can find out about that at wefunder.com/Tusk. Welcome back to CramerSez Live. It's a Wednesday night, hump day. Phone lines are open, 877-619-3899. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, our special guest, TikTok famous, the one and only, the dumb bricklayer. Welcome, bricklayer. There he is. I like to call you dumb for long. Is that a problem? Okay, so we have not done a live in a while. A lot of things have happened in the last few months, the last few weeks since we were last together. Let's talk about probably the hottest topic in the room that has the least impact on the majority of Americans. That's this TikTok ban. How do you feel about it? What's your thoughts? I did. We'll get into that. 81, account number 81, gone. 2 million views, 3 days, 48,000 followers, something along that line. But really what I look at is the number of views that we get. I think that that's far more important, the message that gets out there. And then what's interesting is, and the same thing happens for your content. I see it all over the place, that they download it and reshare it, and you never know where it ends up. A few days ago, I got a video from a buddy of mine that said that he was watching some other program that runs on Rumble and YouTube, and there was my ugly mug as the intro, some rant that I went off on a year ago. They're using for the intro of their show. So you never know what your crazy words are where they're going to end up and what they're going to mean to somebody else. So you've been on TikTok with one account the entire time. Now your content is a little bit different than mine. You are much more of a wordsmith. I like what you do. Yeah, well, talk about the trans thing that you did today. How was that? Right. The transitional word? Is that what you're talking about? It's a transition. I think that's what they call it, transition. It's a 5-letter word technically. Too close. Sounds well. That's what I'm thinking. The text when I told you that I got booted from TikTok, you said, well, you probably said trans, and I was like, no, I said transformation. That's what I said. It's that AI, that Chinese AI, just can't pick up on my accent. That must be it. There was a lot of talk over the last week about people that were concerned that TikTok was going to be banned, and they were saying that it was the American government trying to silence their free speech. Do you believe that to be the case? Right. Right. Well, and here's the issue that I find, uh, Bricklayer, is that everybody's claiming that somehow or another their free speech is being limited by the government. Okay. Do you see that? Do you see that as the case? Is that your viewpoint on this issue, or is it bigger? Right. Right. That's a different subject, but that's a different subject, though. My point is it right for the federal government to come in and ban TikTok? Forget about the free speech issue. Explain that. Why not? Because I see it just the opposite. You too. That's right. I agree. Well, I've said the same thing that free speech is the one thing that does that. We've got a call on their line. We'll get to them right after this. Here's the situation here, Bricklayer. Um, my position on this ban of TikTok is from a national security standpoint, in that this is not a company that is operating in our nation with 150 million followers. It's a nation. So the Chinese government owns TikTok. They operate TikTok. It's their entity. Should we allow Russia to have the same kind of influence on our people? Should we allow North Korea to have the same kind of influence? What about Cuba? Or what about, I don't know, Iran or Iraq? Should they have the same access to 150 million people in our country to be able to sell them anything they want? I don't agree. I don't agree. Not from, not from the governor. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. See, China wouldn't allow us to do that. China wouldn't allow us to have a platform like this and have an influence on half of their population. Well, okay. Listen to this, because have you watched Jay Leno on when he does the stupid man on the street bullshit? Did you see? Like, Fox News last week did the exact same thing out at the beach, and it was amazing to me how many people had no idea whatsoever. These kids that had no idea who the fuck the vice president was. So yeah, there are people that stupid out there. Here's my concern, and hopefully, well, my point exactly. And they're in a leadership role. But here's my concern. And I hopefully this will get it codified enough to where people will understand what I'm saying. The reason that I think that TikTok should be banned immediately for what it is as a national security threat. And let me take you back to the 1930s. I think it was 1930s. Do you remember Orson Welles and the War of the Worlds? Okay, how easy would it be for the Chinese government to jump in and develop a ton of content with Hollywood features and look and feel that basically says that they've been nuked or something else, some other catastrophic thing has happened, and then feed that out to the American people, right? All at one time, produced content, it goes out as a program and they shove it, shove it, shove it, shove it. With the way that we look at our media now and the way that we look at our government right now, we're more likely to believe the Chinese government on TikTok than we would our own government saying, hey, it's all bullshit. We didn't do any of this stuff. Mhm. Yeah, and we're trying to battle that. My point is that we shouldn't allow the Chinese government or any government to have that access to 150 million people, right? I mean, they wouldn't allow us to have it. Yeah. But 150 million people aren't smart enough to be on TikTok. You've already how many kids have died from these goddamn pranks and these goddamn challenges that they do? A mother is right now suing TikTok because her kid was too stupid. That's my point. And we've got politicians that don't know the basics. Let's go to the phone lines real quick and see what America thinks. You're live on Kramer Says. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Chris from North Carolina.
Chris from North Carolina. What do you got to say tonight? Should TikTok be banned? Is it a free speech issue or is it a national security threat? Which is it?
Well, first of all, I wanted to call in because I started watching the Rumble podcast, and I was going to tell you that you can't hear anything that the bricklayer's saying.
Oh, you can't. Is it still
No, it's
off?
muted.
Oh, it's still muted. Okay, let me see. I'm getting audio here. I have audio here with him everywhere. Is he still out?
It might have changed in the last couple minutes since I've been on the phone, but before I got on the phone, it was muted.
Oh, well, that's not good because I can hear him through my stuff. So we may have to do this as a replay.
All right.
Okay, I appreciate it. What's your thought? Go ahead, Chris.
So as far as TikTok goes, I called in about this a couple weeks ago, and kind of expressed my views. I think that, I mean, Facebook's already doing it. Your cell phones, you carry it with you every day.
No. Those are two separate issues. You can't. You got to get it down to base a base analysis. Let's do it the opposite way. Do you want the federal government, the U.S. federal government, having anything to do with your speech?
I don't want any government having anything to do with my speech because it's a constitutional right.
Okay, so you don't want the federal government. You don't want the federal government coming after it. We've got to make sure that no other government can do the same thing. Dan, go ahead and I'm sorry, Bricklayer, go ahead and jump in here. We'll sorry, buddy. Did it again. I got to quit calling you by your name when conversation. Everybody, but that's Chris. Thanks for calling in. That's the issue that we've had is that people keep confusing what's really going on, and they make these excuses that don't pile up. Yeah, you're right. The monotonous information that you have in your phone, I'm not worried about it either. Right? There's nothing that I'm doing that's that interesting. Okay. Found a problem. Yeah, found a problem. I'm gonna mute you for just a second. Me, I gotta mute me. That's it. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. There you go. You should be on now. Yeah, can people on Rumble hear him now? That's okay. Yeah. We'll get that's what it is. Okay, that's the issue. We know what it is now. We know why they can't hear you. They'll be able to hear you in the replay. We can hear you in the replay. Um, there we go. Yep. It happens every time. There's always something. We're going through a learning process, so we're getting it out. We'll figure. Yep. You know what? I think we got your. I think we got the settings done. Let's see if this works here. Should be this. Let's see here. Mike. Yeah, that's right. It couldn't hear you. It should be able to hear. Let's see if they can all get it. I'm sorry, everybody. This is one issue. This is the first time we've done this. Bricklayer was our trial, and we'll get this figured out. So it'll be on the replay. Everybody will be able to hear. It was still fun though. We still got drunk. So let's get back to it. So you see this more as a free speech issue as opposed to a national security threat. Well, that's not the issue. The issue is the influence that they can have over the American people instantly. That's well. Let me ask you. Well, let me ask you this. So do you have a problem with the U.S. government banning Huawei from China in the TCOM sector? Is that a violation of First Amendment rights? It's a tech. That's all the platform is. They banned Huawei and nobody stood up and said, hey, listen, the reason that people are standing up is because they're making money on TikTok selling their t-shirts and stuff and their dance videos and their subscriptions. They don't want to give that up. They couldn't care less about national security. That's what I'm saying. We got rid of Huawei because we didn't want China having access to our TCOM, but we'll give them access directly into our homes. It doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do. Well, that's illegal. It's illegal. They can't do that. What's the difference between a newspaper because they're a publisher currently, right? They're a publisher because they silence my voice on a regular basis. So they are a publication. They're not acting as a platform. They are silencing voices based on an ideology, whatever that may be. So again, I ask you, if we're going to get rid of tech, right? Because Huawei and the others that we've banned are tech. This is just another tech that uses. And Bricklayer, I'm good with that. I'm good with that when it's a private entity, but when you've got a government agency that is running a platform, I just think it's too dangerous. I think it's way too dangerous. Well, you're right about that one. Hey, let me ask you this. I don't know if you saw that today that the Senate, moving on, the Senate voted today to end the COVID emergency. Did you see that? 68 to 23. 68 to 20, 23 people still think there's an emergency out there. Uh, well, I don't know if you heard this. Biden threatened to veto it last year, but he says he'll now sign it. We're going to the phone lines. You're live on Kramer Says. The lines are open at 877-916-3899. That's 877-619. I'll get it right. 619-3899. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Jeff Holland.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing tonight?
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. I just want to chime in with this TikTok talk. There's another aspect that came out last couple of days. I don't think you have just addressed yet. Now I'm kind of concerned about is the Restrict Act, that law that they're trying to push through.
That is completely different, right? And substantially more dangerous than what the Chinese are currently doing.
Well, I don't disagree that the Chinese are dangerous. I think we're on the same page about that.
Yeah.
But I think our government's using this as a Trojan horse to usher in more draconian laws on how they're going to govern the internet.
Right. Well, what they want to do is they want to bring this in as the excuse. Again, this is what government does. They create the problem, and then they offer the solution. And the solution is just give up a little bit more of your freedoms. Listen, I want TikTok gone as a platform. I think it's dangerous in the country. I do. With that being said, I don't want another Patriot Act. And that's what this Restrict Act is.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So what do you think is the answer? What is the answer for us moving forward? Do we Well, that'd be a step in the right direction. I'll drink to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the answer is me. I don't know. I don't think it's more government control. That's for sure. I think it's private industry, saying no, just turning off TikTok, and you got how do you wean the users off it? That's another thing. How you make like Clapper and other platforms more attractive and not become the next Parler. I don't know if there's any easy answers to that, but.
Well, CramerSez, we already have a platform, so I've already started my own platform, and I got.
True.
In fact, if you go check it out, the one that we have right now is basic. It's just for free speech. It's not fancy. It's not video. It's not like TikTok, but we're working on that. In fact, if you go to CramerSezApp.com, CramerSez app.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, somebody told me they said, "Well, I went to go look at your app, and it looks awfully like TikTok."
I'm already a member of it, man. I'm already a member.
Well, the what do you call it? The flip video where you can just flip video after you can put video up there. It's like Facebook. Whatever you can do on Facebook, you can do on CramerSez. What they said was what was interesting is somebody came and says, "Well, no wonder you're against TikTok." I've been against TikTok from the beginning. I started building CramerSez, Bricklayer can attest, way before anybody talked about a TikTok ban. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely.
So when to say that, well, I'm using this opportunity as no, we saw this. We've been looking for investors. We've been doing this for over a year. So to be in this position now to say, hey, listen, I think we're in the perfect position. I think that given the opportunity to launch and TikTok is banned, people need to go somewhere. And I like Clapper. Clapper was okay. Cloud Hub was okay, but they never delivered. They just couldn't do the same thing because what TikTok has is that algorithm. And that's what we've got to have. That's what we've got to have. Did you hear today, moving forward, I'm going to ask you this. We had moved on to the COVID emergency. Is COVID over for you?
For me, yeah, man.
Yeah.
COVID has been long over. I'm never worried about it. I've had it a few times. My symptoms are so mild. It was like a mild cold, mild fever.
Well, do you think it's a little too little, a little too late? Because I mean, Biden was going to get rid of it in May anyway, right? And now the Senate comes up and does this gesture in the last minute and a half before the game is over to like kind of say, hey, look at what we did. Do you think it's that? Do you see that from that point of view, or do you think that they're really coming to their senses?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to cling on to power. I mean, I haven't looked too much at the news today about it, to be honest with you. So I may not know the full story on that. But I think they've been reluctant to let go of the powers that they have and trying to maintain the blue states that are allowing it to go on.
Yep, I agree with you. 100%. Thanks for your call. Moving on to the lines are open at 877-619-3899. You got something you want to say to me or Bricklayer? Feel free to let your fingers do the walking, and we'll help you do the talking. 877-619-3899. Okay, here let's get into something heavy here. Go ahead.
I want to
Yeah. Well, that brings us to our next subject. I mean, it's one of the hottest subjects going on right now. This issue that happened in Nashville, which is odd. I mean, my wife was on the phone with a friend of hers in Nashville, Tammy, and Tammy was talking about getting to her facial. And all of a sudden she says, well, she's got the sweetest Southern accent. She goes, well, Lordy, I can't get over to where I'm supposed to get to. And she starts talking about the fact that there's police everywhere. Well, she's a block and a half, 2 blocks away from where the shooting happened in Nashville. So that's a local connection, right? Could she have been there? Was she in danger? She wasn't in danger, but it can happen anywhere, folks. So the question is, as soon as this happens, what does the media do? What do the leftists do? What do the gun control nuts do? They can't wait to stand on the warm bodies. They don't even need a soapbox. They'll just stand on the bodies of the victims to start espousing their gun control narrative. Bricklayer, what's your idea? I mean, you're a common sense guy, common sense American. You're pro 2A. What's the answer here? I agree 100%. Yeah. No, I'd bring a bomb. That's what I do. Wow, did not know that. Well, I mean, it's this. Is there a solution that doesn't require losing our Second Amendment rights? Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I look at it. I look at it from the numbers, right? When did this start? When, by the way, the first school shooting was actually in the 1800s. If you didn't know that, it. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. Well, let me put it this way. I think this is my personal opinion. I think that the issue really started when they started bringing in zero tolerance to schools and they got rid of corporal punishment. Now, people will say, well, Kramer, how's that? That's mean. No, listen, when I was in school, there was accountability. You did something, even if your parents didn't make you walk the straight and narrow, there were teachers at school that would, and you feared them. There was Mrs. Babbage. For anybody who remembers Mrs. Babbage in Martinsville, Indiana, she had a mean swing. I don't know if she played softball or something, but she knew how to use a paddle, right? I got it a couple times in the hall. I had to bend over and take my medicine. And guess what I learned? I learned that there's some people you just don't back off to. Do you think that if we brought corporal punishment back into schools, do you think that if we brought accountability into our schools so that even when the kids aren't taught these things at home, the system teaches them you can't do that shit. There's going to be a cost. You're going to have to pay a cost if you step out of line.
Like, you can share your fun stuff with your kids. Like, how come there's an entire generation of people getting fun with food? Like that in the schools and that kind of stuff. I think it got taken away.
Well, but it went on for years. We did that happened for years in schools, and yeah, you had problems from time to time with teachers that were doing that, But think of all the kids that went through the educational system that got paddled and had to pay the cost, right, or had some kind of punishment. Because now it's not even they won't even do detention. Detention is that's illegal imprisonment.
And when
What do you think about arming teachers? That's a looking care.
um, I point to the church shooting that is
Right.
when the guy he pulled out his gun. Don't mess with the church in Texas. And yes, all the teachers.
What about armed guards? If the teachers don't want to do it, which I can understand, they don't want to be security guards. Do you like in for example in Zionsville, all of our schools have a resource officer that is at the school all day long. There is a police officer there on site if needed.
I would want them vetted, and I would want a qualification that like they would oversee and knows a bunch of people because you don't want to see another example of a police officer in a shot and then letting one of the officers run in and save his wife. So if you're going to hire a security guard, make sure he's actually a security guard.
Right. Well, I agree. Not just a security guard, right? But a police officer trained in that type of that experience. They should be almost a SWAT officer. Is my the way I look at it, right? Tactical, knowing the building, know how to use the building and everything. Oh, I lost. I'm going to move off. I'm going to move off for just a second here. I lost you there for just a moment. Do me a favor, reconnect if you would, because you got really laggy there for a second. Let's reconnect one more time and see if we can get Dumb Bricklayer in. It's interesting. The gun control nuts, the thing that they do is that they use stat after stat after stat after stat, and we'll tell you all these things, and then you say, well, is it possible it's mental illness? It's not mental illness. It's not that. It's not the crazy people. It's because of the gun. If the guns weren't here, well, there was a crazy man in New York that just stabbed another man to death in a deli, killed him. Where's the outrage? Well, Kramer, it's because the gun is so much more effective at doing what it does. Okay, I want effective tools around me. I don't know about you, but I want those effective tools. I want to be able to know that we've got great tools to utilize against bad people. I want those. We can't make everything illegal. We can't blame everything. We can't do it. Let's see if we can bring the bricklayer back in here. Having a little bit of a technical issue. Again, we're doing a whole new thing tonight, so I'm so glad that he's there. Are you there? Let me hear you. We got you back on good audio here. There we go. We're good. Sounds great. That's common sense. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight, and so to make a soft target, here's what it drives me crazy. The same exact. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yep. Nope. And in advertising is even worse. I mean, what I would do is, when there was a period where, in my early days, I didn't have the money to monitor my home. I didn't have the money for an alarm, so I just went out and bought a sign that said, what is it? What do you call it? Not protected. That's what it said. Protected by, and I can't remember the name of the company, but it was some fake company with a fake phone number, right? It was out in my yard. I didn't have any problems. Our neighbors did, but I didn't. Sometimes just saying that it's going to be there is enough. It's kind of like saying, hey, listen, tomorrow we're going to put extra troopers on the roads because it's a holiday and we're going to be watching for people who speed. Just enough to keep people slowed down. That's what it says. Well, and the same. Well, Bricklayer, the other thing is that the people that keep saying we can't do that, that's ridiculous. There's no reason that we should have our children armed, are protected by armed guards, are in buildings protected by armed guards. The adults are protected, our children are not. Yeah. The politicians protect themselves. They've got armed guards around them, but that's just not how we should raise our children. No. Exactly. Strapped. Our guest tonight is the Dumb Bricklayer from TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. By the way, the last time that we talked, you were working on getting a podcast out. Where does that stand?
Technical issues.
You and me both. I got to get my fix as well. I know how it is. It's this gear. It's funny. I've worked in broadcasting my entire life, so setting it up and getting it right is perfect until you add one more element. Like tonight, this new way of bringing you in is a completely different way of doing it. We've never done it this way before, and so we thought we'd try it. And thank you for being the guinea pig. But we had a learning curve. What we've learned is that you need to hear me, but I can't hear you. And I have another way of getting you in, but when I silence you, so it doesn't feed back from me, it silences you for everybody on Rumble. We will have that fixed the next time we do this. Sorry about that. For those who missed the program tonight, we're going to upload the recording. So with that being said, what else is going on? I mean, your neck of the woods is the weather's changing. It's starting to get a little warmer, maybe. Are you seeing some? Exactly. We need more dead polar bears, right? And more warm days in May, April. More. Um, what is? Let me ask you this: you and I have talked over the last couple of years. We've gotten to know each other over the last couple of years and had some pretty in-depth conversations. Um, do you see? Do you see us getting out of the situation that we're currently in politically, with the same people remaining in place?
I think, I think, I totally get it.
I feel the same way. Yep. Why don't you think it has? Why do you think that what's happened has been allowed to happen by the American people? Do you think that they're J6 scared, that they're afraid that what they saw on January 6th, that they're going to get in trouble? No, I agree with that. Well, that's it. That's what I keep people keep saying, and it's interesting that you say the French Revolution because I see that the politicians are acting like that. Uh, what I find interesting is that we keep saying we're upset. They act like they don't give two shits, that we'll just keep taking it, not knowing that we're the heaviest armed culture society that the world has ever seen. Ever. We are we're 100 million strong, armed people. You're not going to stop us. But they think they can move forward with autonomy, and that we're not going to come after them or at some point shape things up. Now, I've said this a million times, and hopefully people get this. When I say revolution, I don't mean revolution in the streets. It's not going to happen. I don't see that. You and I have talked about it. Logistically, I think it's impossible. You can't take over 5, 10, 20, even 100 cities. You can't take over 1,000 cities in this country and control the United States. You just can't. So we have to do something different. Do you think Trump's not that leader, right? I mean, Trump's not that leader. I don't see that. I don't see that. Yep. Just to fuck him. Yep. Do you think he's learned his lesson? Do you think he'll allow that to happen again? Savage. I agree. Oh, I agree. Yeah, well, what was that 70s song? You know, the intro to that 70s song? The song never made it, but the line before the song made it, the revolution will not be televised. And we've seen it. And at the time, we didn't understand it. We didn't understand where the technology was going. Whoever said that knew what was going to happen because we've seen it happen now. Look at what's going on in France. Oh, you can't. Look at what's going on in Brazil. Oh, you can't. Right. Well, that's my point. That's my point. You're not hearing about this on the mainstream media. If you say Paris, France is on fire, I've got a former client of mine whose daughter lives in Paris, and they're trying to get her home as fast as they can. That's how dangerous it is. South Africa's on fire. Well, you're right. You're right. You're right. It's riot season. Um, I think Bricklayer. I think that the solution is, and I'm hoping, this is my hope, that common sense Americans, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, I don't give two shits, finally start to realize that we share 98% of the same hopes and goals for our families across the board. It's that's the one thing that unites America. We've got the American dream. Exactly. We were told the other, shut the fuck up and move on. If it doesn't have anything with you, just move the. But let me ask you this: that mentality. Now think about this. That mentality. How's it worked out for us? It not very good. Well, we didn't because by taking our eye off the wheel, our politicians took advantage of everything and have not been doing what's best for us. I have to say that if we're going to battle this, though, I think we're going to have to start utilizing their tactics and their strategy. And these idiots that wanted to go to Manhattan and protest for Trump out in front of the DA's office, that's not how you do it, folks. That's not go up at the DA's. No, I know. Well, that's how you can't tell. She made that one strong. I got to thank my bartender, my wife, Mary. Thank you so much, sweetheart. That was lovely of you to make that extra strong drink right here at the end with the bricklayer. She knows it's time to get down to business. We've got 10 minutes left, and still I've got to start doing shots now to catch up to you. Um, yeah, the, the issue is though, and bricklayer, this is what I think people have to realize: we cannot win if we play by the rules that we've been playing by. We have to play by their rules. and their rules are there are no rules. So instead of showing up in Manhattan, okay.
And they wouldn't.
Dumb. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying for the last 2 years. The people that we're battling against 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds making up rules on the playground as we go along. That's live. I'll tell you what, we'll come back right after the commercial break. We'll be right back. He's so fucked up. Oh my God. And there we go. We're back live. Bricklayer, how you doing? There we go. There we go. I took a commercial break there. I hope you don't mind. I was ready to go. I've been in broadcasting long enough to know that when the camera falls, commercial break. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Okay, so what we started with was saying, when we started down this path, my initiative is that what people learn is that what we need to do is we need to vote out all the incumbents. Anybody but the incumbent in the primaries. I don't care how much, unless you know them personally, unless they're a family member, unless you go to church with them. And even if you do, you might not even know who they're screwing or what they're doing on the side. But if you've got faith in them because you know them personally, and I mean, like when you walk up, they know your name. That's how personal I'm talking. If you know them personally and you think they're the right person for the job, go ahead and vote for them. But if you don't know who they are, anybody but the incumbent. Because we're not going to get term limits. We're not going to get any of this other stuff if we allow the same people to go back, because they're not going to pass laws that take them out of their job. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe so. I'm fucked up. I left my mic on when that happened. That's it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I agree. And for what reason? And why do you say bring back the draft? I have my reasons. What are yours? I love it. A different draft, like an NFL draft. saying how good I am. It's how bad I am. You shouldn't. You don't want me. You on. It's almost like jury duty, right? If we made politics like we treat jury duty, who would we get? We'd probably get the best of the best. I'm going to be at the beach while drinking beer while you're having these big issues on your hands. Do you think? Do you think that we talked about revolution? You know, the French Revolution in particular, but we talked about revolution. I don't see it in the typical revolution that people are thinking about. I think that it's going to have to come through a revolution of ideas, where people realize that the 24 election is not guaranteed. What we saw in 2020 could happen again in 2024. And when that happens, if it does, what's your red line? Are you done? Are you saying, listen, we're never going to have another free vote if we continue down this path? What do we do? Well, that's it. Well, I don't understand how Democrats can look at what's happened in the last 2 years since Joe's been in power. And I'll start. People said, I don't know if you saw the little video that I put together of the truck that was going down the road and it lost its wheel and put the other truck into the air. I don't know if you saw that. Well, I took Biden on one side and America on the other, and that's what it is. People see that was 500,000 views on TikTok before they took my account. By the way, I'm going to have to show this, and I don't generally do this. I don't generally bitch about this shit, but I think it's interesting. I looked at the analytics on TikTok right before they banned my account. The very first day that my account was live, do you know how many views I had on my first day? A million, right at a million. Right, it's 980 some thousand. That's huge to launch and have 980. Now, it's not me. I know that. I do not take that. I'm an analytics guy. I love the data. So I look at that, and then I'm looking at the following day. Do you know how many I had the following day? They cut it. They cut it in half. They cut the number in half, and then the next day they did the exact same thing. So as my followers were skyrocketing, my views were dropping. That's a platform that is a publisher. They're not a platform. They're a publisher. TikTok's gotta go. Yeah, I don't care. Oh, it take off. You are so throttled. I saw you've got 80,000 some followers, right? So I looked at you the other day when I went and followed you, and that was probably what got me banned because I only follow certain people. That's it. That's my point. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yep. Yep. Well, and again, this is why going back to what we started the conversation with, and we wrap it up tonight, is that we're right back to where we started from. If China can drive a narrative, if it can silence your voice, and listen, Bricklayer, we make funny videos on TikTok. We are not soldiers in the field, right? We're the guys back in World War II that were sending the pamphlets over to Germans saying, hey, listen, we're coming, we're going to bomb you, and we're going to take over your country. That's the kind of shit that we do. So it's demoralizing the other side. I think, and I'll let you have the last word on this. My entire mission is to just be a thorn in their side. What's yours? Yep. Yep. Well, what's funny about it is that you say that, right? Is that he's made $1 billion selling your information. Nobody cares. They don't care. They have no idea what that is. And here's what's interesting to me is that he started losing money the moment that Apple said, you can't do that anymore. Facebook Meta took a dive. That's why Meta's in trouble. That's why they're screaming about the $10 billion that TikTok took. They don't care what TikTok is. They just want the $10 billion. That's what they want. I know. And paid $20 million. They put $20 million in lobbying toward it. That tells you how important it is. $20 million is a lot of money unless you just lost 10 billion. Billion is a lot more than 20 million. Yep. Yeah, but forever. How it works. That's why you have to wear a seatbelt in a car. It has nothing to do with safety. It has everything to do with the insurance companies. That's why your kid has to be. Yep. Yep. Oh, no. Yep. It's insurance companies. Um, we've gone an hour, a little over an hour here. What do you want to say in closing? What do you have? Do you have something funny to say or something serious to say? What do you want to leave our audience with? Okay. I am old. I'm going to get some ice cream. Come on, man. Well, let me go into a couple of things that's going on, and I want you to be my audience over here for me. The next time you're on, we will have the audio working on YouTube and Rumble and the other places. I guess it didn't work there, so sorry about that. We'll get that fixed. The That's it. Yep, it's all new. Yep. But this is the new world. Here's what we're doing. Um, Here at Kramer says we are done with playing by the status quo rules. We're done. We've done it for 3 years now. We've listened to all the experts. Since we started listening to the experts about our health and the experts about banking and the finance system and economy and so on, our economy has been trashed by the medical industry, and our economy is now being trashed by the banks. The experts that we've been listening to for the last few years have no fucking idea what the fuck they're talking about. It's obvious. So it's time for the American people to start stepping up, and that's what we want to do. Listen, I'm not one of those guys that comes forward. I'm not one of those guys that comes forward and says, "Listen, I want to do this, this, and this. I want to sell you a T-shirt, and I'm going to take the money." That's not what I'm about. And Bricklayer, you're one of the guys too. You've got a huge following, and you've never asked anybody for anything, right? Because you're doing what you do for love of country and being a patriot. I agree. I know. So my point is that here in the future, the team here at Kramer says is going to start asking, but we're giving as well. And when we start asking for help, we expect the American people to stand up. If you're tired, if you're sick and tired of what's going on, and you refuse to do anything, it's on you. As Bricklayer was saying, it's on you. At some point, you have to play a role in defending your own freedom. Bricklayer, when you get up in the morning, do you think about any of your followers and go, I hope they have a great day. I'm going to go fight for their freedom. Do you do that? Oh, you fucking liar. You do not. Well, that part of it, but you don't think about individual people on a daily basis about what their freedoms are, and you say, I'm going to fight for your freedoms, and you definitely are not going to stand up and fight for their freedoms harder than they will, right? Never. Oh my God. Never a serious answer. Jesus Christ. I want to be serious here. Motherfucker. Okay, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us, Bricklayer. Do you have anything, words of wisdom to leave everybody with other than Skull? And how many accounts have you had? I'm on 81. You're on account what? One. Account one. Well, you know what? Here's the deal. Here's what I'm starting to realize. I may be Q, but I think you own TikTok. With that, we're out of here. Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Bricklayer. I will not say your name. I almost said your name again. Thanks so much for joining. You've always got an open seat here at CramerSez.com and the CramerSez podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. With that being said, if you haven't gotten over to CramerSez.com, go do it. Go get yourself a free account and by the way, Bricklayer, stick around. I'm coming back to you. Let us know what you're thinking. And if you haven't gone over to see CramerSez app, CramerSez app.com. If you haven't done that yet, go check it out. That's what I'm talking about. Down the road, we're going to need your help. I have a plan. We have an agenda. We know what we're moving forward. I don't take anyone's money and go spend it on me. I'm living in a 2,100 square foot condo right now. I sold my $1 million home. We're moving the business in a different direction. This is it. We have one last election in us. If we don't get past 2024, our nation is lost. If you don't see that, if you don't realize that, you're not paying attention to all the signs because they're telling you in so many ways that they're not going to allow Trump to run. They're going to deny you of the one guy that you want to run. Now, is Trump the perfect candidate? No, he's not. I've never believed that. But he's the perfect man for this time in history. And I don't get paid for saying that either. It's just my honest belief. With that being said, I'm out of here. My name is Kramer. This is the Kramer Says podcast. Kramer Says Live. We do it every weeknight at 10 p.m. Do me a favor. If you want to move it to 9, because my wife says it should be at 9, and I don't want to listen to her. So I will listen to you. If you say it should be at 9, let me know it. Syndication at CramerSez.com. Syndication at CramerSez.com. And we'll listen to whatever happens there. Maybe we'll do a poll. That's what we'll do. We'll do a poll on both CramerSez.com, the social media platform, and on Twitter. So we'll do a poll on both places. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Kramer. This is the Kramer Says podcast. We'll be back tomorrow or as soon as we can.
Get more at CramerSez.com. CramerSez.com.